expert, right? So today we are going to discuss about approval process. So we use approval process to approve any record, right? So let's say if you have an account or opportunity record, and before starting work on that opportunity, you need a approval from your manager, director, any other one, right? So you can send that approval automatically. It's a part of automation. So we will discuss how you can create an approval process in Salesforce, and you will do some automatic operation like updating a pick list field value at time of approving the any record, right? So let's just create. I'm just creating one pick list field on any object that I will use for a for approval process, and will update that pick list value using an approval process. Okay, so we'll discuss that in approval process. So currently, I'm just creating one pick list field. So let me just choose any object that discuss. Opportunity. Let's just use opportunity for approval process. So here I'm just creating one pick list field called approval status. So we need the data type as pick list. Click next. Here we will give the name, approval status, and we'll put the values here, right? Okay, approved and rejected. Okay, so I'm just using these two values for now, and we'll hit next. I will give the access to every profile. You know what is field level security? We have already discussed it. So clicking on next and hitting save. So we have added this field on every single page layout, right? In opportunity. So our field is already here in our in our opportunity field list. You can see here approval field status field is created. This is the API name of this field, and the type of this field is pick list, right? So now we need to create an approval process for it for opportunity, and we will use this field at time of updating the value. Okay. So in order to create an approval process, you just need to click on this gear icon, as you can see here, right? Just click on this gear icon and just hit setup. And you can type approval process here, right? So in the process automation, approval process is a part of process automation, right? So in the process automation, you can see here we have an option called approval process that we need to use for approval process creation. So I'm just clicking on this approval process here. So we already have some approval process. I created it for some other classes. So I'm just deactivating these processes for now. So we don't have any active process for now. So in order to create any approval process, so you just need to first select the object for which you want to create any approval process. So we are creating it for opportunity. So you can select the opportunity object from here. This is the first step you need to follow. Here we go. So you just need to select the opportunity as an approval process, and then here is the actual drop down from which you just need to select in which way you want to create an approval process. So when you will click on this, you will get two options, either using jump start wizard and using used standard setup wizard. So both are same, both will create an approval process. The only difference is if you will use jump start wizard, it is a shorter way to create an approval process. So you will get every option on the single page. But if you will choose standard setup wizard, it is a longer way to create an approval process. So you will get every single option on a different page. I mean, you have to click on next, then only you will get the second option. So we'll go the complex one. We'll go with the longer version of um, uh, creating an approval process. So you can try Jumpstart Wizard by your own, and if you will face any problem, we will discuss in the next class. So I'm going to use the standard setup wizard. I'm just clicking on it. As soon as you will click on the standard setup wizard, you will get this screen, right? So here, first you just need to provide the name, and then you need to hit the next button. Then you will get the other option. And if I will go back and if I will show you the jump start wizard, if I will click on jump start wizard, you can see here you are getting multiple option on the same page, right? So this is the only difference we have, right? This is the only difference we have in this, right? So let me just go back and choose the standard setup wizard. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so let's just choose the second option, that is standard setup wizard. In the first option, it is asking for a name of the approval process. So as you can read here, enter a name and description for your new approval process. So we are creating it for opportunity. So I'm just naming it as opportunity approval. So you can give the description if you want, right? And just hit next. As soon as you will hit next, it will ask only certain type of record will enter into the approval process, right? If you will provide the specific entry criteria. If you won't provide any specific entry criteria, then each and every record will go uh, under approval process scanner, right? So we can provide an any option here. So let's say if amount field is greater than uh, 50 lakh. If amount field is greater than 50 lakh, then only it should go under scanner of approval process. Okay. If amount field is greater than 50 lakh, then only it will go under scanner of approval process. If opportunity amount is less than 50 lakh, then it won't require any approval from any manager, right? Makes sense to everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Let's move ahead. So I'm just clicking on next. So now the third option is specify approval field and record editability properties, right? So whenever you will submit the record for approval, it will be logged. So if you want administrator only can edit the record during the approval process, then you can simply leave it like this. I mean, the first option will be checked. And if you want administrator or the currently assigned approver can edit record during the approval process, then you can choose the second one. So I will choose the first one because I will only allow administrator to use the approval process, right? And when you define an approval process, just read it. When you define approval step, you can assign approval request to different users. So now it is as select field used for automatic approval routing. You remember we created a field, right? Um, in our hierarchical relationship, right? That was tech lead and supervisor. These fields were created at time of we were learning hierarchical relationship on user object. So these field can also be used. These field can also be used for approvals, right? So if you want, you can select these field from here. If you don't want, there will be a next option in which you can choose who can approve the record, right? So I'm not selecting this field here. Let's just click on next, and then you will see how we can get it approved, right? So I'm just clicking on next here. Approval assignment template. So basically, whenever you will assign a record for approval, right? So it will go to a approver. So at that time, the approver will get an email, and You can assign any or create any email template, and the format of that email template will be the same. Will be the we will use the same email template for the email to the approver, right? So if you have any existing email template, you can choose from here. If you want to create it, you can simply click on this link and it will get you on email template creation screen, right? So let's just select, oh, we, we are back on the first screen. So I'm just quickly going on that one. So then 50 lakh, here we'll choose this one. And yeah, so you can select the email template if there is any existing email template. So I'm just selecting anyone. I mean, that doesn't make any difference, right? So I'm just selecting the one. If you want to create one email template, you can simply click here and you can create that one. So I'm just clicking on next now. And at time of approval, if you want to show some field on the page, right? So if you want to see the example, you can click here. So these are the field assigned to actual approver, amount, status. So these are the fields that you can choose, like which one you want to show there, right? Or at time of approval, you can choose here. So I just want opportunity name, owner, and amount field should be there, right? And if you want account name also be there, okay? And then approval page field, display approval history information in addition to the field selected below. So if somebody has already approved it or rejected it, then you will see the history also if you will click on this checkbox, right? I'm just clicking on this. And then there are security settings on this page. So first one is allow approver to access the approval page only from within the Salesforce application. Or the second one is allow approver to access the approval page from within the Salesforce application or externally from a wireless enabled mobile device. So for the security reason, we generally choose the first one, right? And I'm hitting next. Now, initial submitter, who can submit the record, right? So here, either administrator, you can choose many users who all can submit the record for approval, right? So if you want, you can keep it with opportunity owner. If you don't want that, you can add a public group, a role, or if you want multiple users, you can choose from here. But ideally, it should be the opportunity owner who own the opportunity or your system administrator. So I'm just keeping it here. Page layout settings, add the submitter for approval button and approval history. So we have an approval button on the top of the record. So we'll use that on opportunity layout. Submission setting, allow submitter to recall approval requests if they want. They can recall it if they submit it by mistake. So you can, if you want to give that permission, you can simply keep this checkbox checked, right? And hit save. So our approval process is completed. So what would you like to do now? So just read these options. You have just created an approval process that we did. However, you cannot activate this process until you define at least one approval step. Would you like to do that now? So we don't have any approval step right now. Yes, I want to do that right now. Just click on go. So here, so you can choose if amount is greater than 50 lakh and if it is less than um, um, let's say uh, 100 lakh, then it will go to your manager. If it is beyond that, it should go to director. So you can select multiple steps based on your requirement, right? So let's say greater than 50 lakh, right? This is the unique name. I don't know if it will take this name or not. Let's see. Else we'll assign something else. Or let's just do this. Take underscore in between. Hit next. All records should enter this step if you want, or if you want a specific record to enter this step. So you can create, if you have a requirement in which you need to create multiple approval step, you can do that, right? And if you want all record to be approved by only single person, you can keep this, right? So I'm just going with all records should enter this step, or you want me to do choose the second step? Unmute yourself. You want me to choose the second step or the first one?
Uh, oh, I just want to know that, like, if we select second step, है ना?
So,
So we also selected previously in the approval process. We also selected one criteria there as well, greater
so
than 50
that
lakhs.
will for initially. I mean, for all the records. So now you what you can do is, if a record has entered into the approval process, so only record those are having amount greater than 50 lakh will come to the approval process, right?
Okay.
So now you
Hmm.
can have multiple approvals. So let's say if amount is greater than 50 lakh but less than 1 crore, right? So
Okay.
that
Okay.
should be approved by your manager, right?
Got
If it
it.
is greater than 1 crore and less than 5 crore, it should go to director. And if it is greater than 5 crore, it should go to CEO. So if you have multiple steps in your company, you can choose the second one, right? And if you only have one approver in your company, you can simply say all records should enter this step. Only one step should be there, right?
Okay. Okay.
So I'm just going with this step. You can try the second one and let me know if you have any issue in the next class. So I'm just clicking on next now. So now there are two things. At the time of submitting the record to the for the approval process, user can choose the approver manually, or you can automatically assign the approver if you will choose the second option. So let's just do the automatically assign the approver. So now there are multiple options. So we if you want multiple approvers, right? So you can add a row and you can choose multiple approvers. If that is the case, then you can choose when multiple approvers are selected, approve or reject based on the first response. If somebody has approved it at first or rejected at first, then you can just approve or reject the record at the same time. And if you don't have that, then you can, if you require unanimous approval from all selected approvers, you can choose the second one, right? So I'm just selecting one approval, so this won't apply, right? Because we have only two users in this org, so we can choose either one. So let me just choose the Prateek Sharma as a user who will going to approve this, right? You can also delegate if you have multiple users in your company org, right? So you can delegate the approvals also. So let's just choose Prateek Sharma as the approver. I'm just hitting save, and just if you want to add a task or activity, then you can choose. But I don't want to do that. Let's just go with the thing. So we have approval process created now, and we have initial submission action is record will be locked, and record can only be edited by our system admin, right? And then approval step, we have only one step. You can also create new approval step here also, right? If you want a second approval step, so let's say if you want more than 1 crore amount record should be approved by director, you can add a new approval step here, right? Remember, we created one field at the beginning of this class, that is approval status, right, on opportunity. So basically, you can update that field directly from here, right? So either from the approval step, if you will click on show actions, you can see here approval action and rejection action. So you can simply update that field by using the field update. So these are the workflow approval actions. We will discuss workflow in the upcoming sessions, but using a workflow is an automation by which you can do four things. You can send an automate, you can create an automatic task, you can send an automatic email, you can update any field on the record, and you can send the outbound messages. So same workflow can be called using an approval process also, right? So I won't do anything on the approval step. Same thing we will do in the final approval or final rejection thing, right? So here also, final if somebody has finally approved the record, then what should happen? So we have an approval status field. If somebody has approved the record, the pick list value of that field should be approved, right? So that we will do from here. So if you will click on add new, just click on the field update and give it a name. Change approval status as approved. I don't know if it will take this big name, right? Field to update. So now we have a field to update, that is approval status. It is a custom field that we have created. You can update any other field based on your requirement, right? And then it is a pick list field and pick list options. If you want a specific value to be chosen, then we can choose it as an approve, because we are just calling it on at the time of approving the record. And there are other options: the value above the current one, the value below the current one. So if you want to choose any value that is already there in the record, if you want to go with one up or one down, you can choose either of the radio button. So we are choosing any specific value because we want it to be approved as the status. So we have done that. I'm just clicking on save. So if the record will be approved, then this workflow will fire and it will change the status to approved, right? And simply, if somebody has rejected the record, the status of that pick list value should be rejected. So I'm just giving the name to rejected. So field to update is approval status. Just hit next, and here we will select as rejected. So I'm just hitting save. So I'm not adding anything. If somebody wants to recall this action, if you want, you can send an email that to the approver that this record is no longer available for approval or rejection, right? So we have these are the actions in which you can either send an email, or you can create a task, or you can update a field, or can send an outbound message. So based on your requirement, you can do this. Okay. So we are done with this, and now the time to activate it, right? So let's just activate it. Done. So now record owner can submit any record for approval if it is if it has amount greater than 50 lakh. Okay. So let's just go to opportunity now, just to test it. Okay. Let's do one thing. Let's just log in with another user, right? And then this user we will use for approvals only. Okay. Okay. I'm going to incognito window. Just copy the username. So we have, this is the user, June batch. Let me just copy the name. Let's just log in another window here. Okay, let's go to opportunity. There is one record here. This is the detail object here, and approval history is this is the related list that will actually give you information, right? So submit for approval is a button, right? You can click on this button to submit this. So if you have an approval process on that object, then only you will get this particular button, right? So let me just click on this submit for approval. If you want any comment, let's say please approve. If you want to give any comment to the approval, then you can give and you can submit the record. Oh, created it ready. It's not the approver of this request. It's for June batch. He's the owner. I think we choose somebody else in the approval section. Let's just choose. Let's just check with this object. Opportunity. We have this. Oh, okay. So we just need to submit a record if the amount is greater than 50 lakh, right? So that is why it is throwing me error. Sorry, my mistake, right? So amount is blank here. Then only it will. So if you will submit any record, if amount is not there or less than 50 lakh, then it will it will not allow you to submit. It will no applicable approval process was found, right? So we just need to update the amount as greater than 50 lakh. I forgot that criteria. So let's say if I will submit 51 lakh, I just save this record. Okay, so let's just submit now. Let's see. Submit this record. Okay, opportunity was submitted for approval, and you can see here in the approval history, it is now with is it assigned to Prateek Sharma, and actual approver is Prateek Sharma only, right? Approval request submitted by this user. So if I will go back to this user, and if we'll in the recent item also you can get opportunity approval process definition, and either if you got an email you can approve it from an email directly, right? And if not, you can simply go to um, opportunity record, go to sales here, opportunity. Can you see the remember the record name that we used? Record name was test R. Okay. This was the record. Let me just open it. And there is one more thing I want to show you. Let me just go back to this record. So here, where is that field that we have created? Approval status. Can you see it? Yeah, here we go. So this field need to be updated as approved as soon as record. So let me just go back and get it approved. So you can come here, right? And you can simply click on this. Sorry, or you can simply approve this. So opportunity is approved. So if I will go back to that record now and just refresh this record, back to detail, approval status is showing as an approved, right? And you can see here in the history of approval process, the status is submit and comment is approved. It is the record status is approved by Prateek. And if you want to get it rejected, I mean, if you want to reject any record, then this approval status field value should be rejected. You can try it at your end. Any question from anyone? Okay. If there is no question, just try it at your end and let me know in the second class if you have any question.
Sir,
Okay.
I have one question. Like,
Yeah.
for example, if someone has mistaken